to CityTalk, where we try to figure out what these people do all day. And by these people, I mean the hardworking city employees of the city of Pittsburgh. Say hello to Rachael Heisler. She is the deputy controller in the controller's office. So Rachael, welcome to the program.
Hey, John, how are you? It's nice to see you virtually.
I'm a little irritated, not because you're here. We're delighted to have you. But just the other day, you and I were sitting in your office like normal people. We didn't have any masks on. We were just shooting the bull, preparing for this interview. And then a few days later, bing, bang, boom, the Delta variant rears its ugly head. Maybe ringing its ugly head too, I don't know. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, it's a shame. Everybody what audience is watching or listening right now, but go get vaccinated if you haven't. And hopefully we can move past this pandemic. It is exhausting. And if everybody does their part in terms of public health and gets vaccinated, hopefully we can end this once and for all.
Yeah, I saw the mayor making some comments to one of the news stations that if stuff doesn't get better soon, it could take a turn for the bad in October.
Yeah, I'm not a public health expert, and I'm not going to comment on expectations or anything like that. But I do think that we all owe it to each other to get vaccinated and just really take care of our fellow colleagues, neighbors, friends, family. Let kids get back to school, let everybody else get back to work, and just move on with our lives.
Well, as the president noted, it is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, which I don't consider commentary. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's really sad too. You know, they're vulnerable populations already. Some of these people are very vulnerable already, and they've taken to social media to get their news. And again, I'm not a public health expert, but I do think some of these news sources are just it's scary, the information that people are digesting and listening to instead of physicians and doctors, nurses, etc.
Yes, no argument here. So, but you're not an expert in public health, but you are an expert on being a deputy controller, or at least you become one. Remind everybody what the controller does is sort of a fiscal watchdog for the city.
Yeah, we are the city of Pittsburgh's controller's office. Controller Michael Lamb is the elected fiscal watchdog for the city. Our office does accounting, accounts payable, and all auditing of city dollars. So money that leaves the city comes through our office.
So we're actually in pretty good fiscal shape thanks to the federal government passing aid to cities, correct?
Yeah, so last year, Congress and the Trump administration passed CARES dollars, which the city benefited from through the county. But the American Rescue Plan was, I forget how many trillions of dollars was allocated, but the city of Pittsburgh will receive $335 million in direct aid from the federal government. So that has buoyed our financial situation and will allow the city to rebound fully, at least economically, from the pandemic.
And we don't have to lay a bunch of people off also, as I understand it.
Right. And the city will be able to resume hiring too, which has been another issue with, as natural attrition has occurred, new hires have been few and far between. So the city can get back to its day-to-day functions and operations in terms of staff.
And also, I believe non-union city employees will have their cost of living increases restored, which I would happen to be personally very interested in that.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. And I think it'll happen at some point in August. It was a 3%, I believe, bump.
Every little bit helps. So how long have you had this job? Since the beginning of the year? Because I know you started during COVID.
Yeah, I started during COVID. My first day was January 11th. So in the dead of winter, in the middle of a pandemic, I started with the city controller's office, and we've gradually reopened it for in-person work. We've had people in our office throughout the pandemic. We are an essential function of the city is paying our bills. And we've had employees in the office every week since the beginning of March of 2020. So before me, in the office working. And then I started in early January and have been hopefully a good addition to the city, but I'm really, really pleased to be here.
So yeah, you were totally unable for the longest time to meet anybody in person or go into the office. I suppose it was pretty nice to be back at the office.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very strange to get to know people through a computer screen. I feel like we're all getting better at it as time has progressed, but it is a very awkward thing to do. You're very deliberate in your communication, and it's it's for sure odd, and I have a feeling it's not going to go away anytime soon, but it has been nice to be able to meet people and see my colleagues in person when folks come into the office and are rotating through.
And I know in some offices, some people have the ability to at least ask the boss, hey, can I work a couple days at home? What's the situation in your office?
Well, we've had our workforce has worked throughout the pandemic. Audits have been released. Our financial reporting has been released. Bills have been paid. So we will bring people back in slowly and deliberately throughout the fall, and make sure that people feel safe and are, protected from the virus to the extent possible. Obviously, this is not, this situation is changing, but we will bring people back in and make sure that people are safe and feel comfortable back in the office.
Are you from the home office or from the city county building as we speak?
I am at my house. I live on the central north side, and I'm on my third floor in my office here today.
And have you read all those books behind you?
I've read some of them. I've read probably most of them. I also have some school textbooks back there, which you can't see, so I've read those too.
Were you in school recently?
I graduated in December 2020 with a master's degree in public administration from Penn State.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how have you been handling COVID?
Like everybody else, I mean, this is just a really unprecedented experience. It's very strange. I walk a lot. I'm outside as often as I can be. I do on the weekends, I do 8 miles, and on the weekdays, if I can swing 4 or 5, I get out and I walk. And I have been exercising at my gym for the last few months. I've been vaccinated since February because of a pre-existing condition I have, and have been at the Y, and we just got an email earlier this weekend, or early in the weekend, saying that they're going to suggest masks again. So it's crazy, but exercise is how I've been keeping sane.
Will you be reluctant to go to the gym for a little while, maybe?
I have sport masks, so I'll wear those and I'll feel very safe. It's more of a consideration for other people, but I feel like I have to do my part, and I'll wear a mask if that makes other people more likely to wear a mask. And hopefully everybody that's unvaccinated in the next month or so will find themselves at the doctor's office getting a shot.
So obviously you're analyzing a lot of numbers being the deputy controller. When you were a little girl, did you know that one day that you wanted to work with numbers, or how did you develop an interest in numbers?
I wanted to be a teacher. I grew up, my family business is public education. I'm the granddaughter and daughter of public school teachers. And I went to Pitt to be a Spanish teacher. I switched majors halfway through and elected to major in political science because I fell in love with government. But I went to Pitt to be a teacher. My Spanish teacher in high school went to Pitt. I wanted to be just like Senora Walker. And I don't speak Spanish and I'm not teaching, but I feel like I'm still contributing and making a difference.
But you did take a Spanish class?
I took several. Yeah, I took Spanish for, in total, probably about 8 years. And I have not been to Spain. I've not been to Mexico. And I have not kept up on my Spanish. So as soon as this is over, maybe a trip to Mexico is in my future.
So only recently you developed an interest in being a financial analyst, more or less.
Yeah, when I spent 6 years on the staff of Congressman Altmaier, and when he left office, I started working I was living and working in Washington, D.C. at that point, and I was hired at the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which is primarily focused on the overall big picture federal budget, but then looks at spending and revenue and analyzes that side of the federal government, and just became very interested in good government initiatives and transparency measures. So this is not what I thought I would be doing, but it's very rewarding work, and it's work that I love.
Anything surprised you about the inner workings of city government, stuff that you didn't know before you started looking into everybody's finances?
The work is very cooperative, and that has been very, I've enjoyed seeing that. I mean, even throughout this pandemic, and I've not been in the office during what you would call a normal workday. We have had considerable cooperation from other departments. Other departments, we've been cooperative with them, and just the dedication that public workers and public employees have demonstrated since I've been on staff has just been inspiring. And our office to throughout the public workforce here in the city is just been really just amazing. Especially, I mean, this is a difficult time for everyone, and I've been heartened to see how well everybody's come together.
So when they see you walking down the hall, they don't scurry. It's like, oh no, here comes a Heisler woman again. She's going to look at a book.
I hope not, but I'll put on a mask again and see if people's behaviors change.
I guess we're all going to have to, whether we like it or not. So you'd recommend a career, it sounds like, in government service overall.
Yes, I love it. It's the work of the controller's office, the work of Controller Lamb. I think it is so important. And the more broad public workforce within the city, within the county, state, federal workforce. I mean, people every day commit themselves to the greater good. And I think it's inspiring work. It's good work. It's something that you can look back on it when you look at your career and think and be proud of. So yeah, I would recommend. And my mom is, like I said, as a teacher, and as I meet her students or, other kids who are in their early college years or looking for careers and what they want to do next, it's become the first thing I say is look for an opportunity to serve the public, and city government is a great place to do that.
But would you still consider a career in teaching since that was your first love?
I don't think so. I don't know that, especially in this environment. My aunt is she's a family and consumer science teacher in Washington County, and she has a lesson plan for the kids that are hybrid, a lesson plan for the kids that are 100% remote, and a lesson plan for the kids that are 100% in person. And it is ever changing. And she teaches family and consumer science, which is, as you can imagine, a very difficult thing to do from behind a computer screen. I don't know that I could do it in this era. I admire teachers. I love teachers. I'm still in touch with most of my teachers. I'm a big nerd, but I don't know that I could do it myself.
Has your nerdiness served you well?
I think so. I don't know. I mean, I've actually never thought of that. I mean, I'm proud of who I am, and I own my nerdiness. So to that extent, yes, it has served me well.
I think I want my controller people to be nerdy. It seems like that's a natural fit.
I'm proud of it. I wear it with pride.
And does Controller Mike come into the office like a lion, but go out like a lamb?
He's a great boss. I really enjoyed working with him, and I couldn't have been luckier to find this place in city government to start out.
Well, we'll leave on a happy note. Rachael Heisler, live from your third floor office somewhere in the north side of Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for joining us on City Talk.
Thanks, John.
And when we come back, we will meet somebody from the Department of Innovation and Performance. Stay with us. Welcome back to City Talk. Let's meet somebody from my own Department of Innovation and Performance, Alexandra Lewis. Alexandra, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You go by Alex generally?
I do, yeah. Alex or Al. There's some competition in the department for the name Alex these days.
I see what you're saying, but Alexandra has a sort of regal quality about it. Have you always liked your name, or?
No, I've always gone by Alex.
Okay, well, I'll never call you that other name again.
Keep it on the down low.
Okay.
Between me and my personnel file.
All right. What do you do for our department?
My role is a senior enterprise application administrator, and I help implement projects for the city based on some of our more robust applications that the city offers.
And what's an application, and name a robust one?
Sure. So an application is basically a software, more or less, or a program that the city offers. And an example would be Microsoft. So Microsoft Office, they have a application called Power BI, which is basically process automation. So taking, a pen and paper process and digitizing it and allowing there to be some oversight on the status of it and things like that.
Okay, so all that stuff that's on my computer, you might be installing it and teaching me how to use it.
I won't install it, but I will talk to you about it.
Okay, and you'll be able to, convince a numbskull like myself that it's actually not that difficult and that it's useful.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Did you learn how to speak numbskull, or are you just an understanding patient person?
I originated in numbskull and I worked my way up.
Okay. Nobody just handed anything to you on a silver platter.
Yeah, I mean.
You were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
No.
You were not born on third base and think you just hit a triple.
Who's on first?
I'm out of cliche. Third base. I can't believe somebody as young as you would know about who's on first.
What's on third, I think.
Well, no, I agree, but anyway, not that I wouldn't mind keeping the Abbott and Costello thing going, but where are you from originally?
I'm from a small farm town in New Jersey.
And then you lived a couple of other places, including Connecticut?
Yes, I went to high school for 2 years in Connecticut.
Was it a fancy school since it was in Connecticut?
Yeah, it was a boarding school called Taft.
How did you like that?
An interesting experience, but I don't think I would recommend it.
Okay, it's still too uptight?
I think it prepared me really well for college, like living on my own, managing my own schedule and things like that. But I think I was too young to leave the comfort of my family.
Okay, well, you should see a therapist.
Yeah, exactly. We work it out on the back end.
And then where did you go to college?
I went to Carnegie Mellon for my undergrad and my grad degrees.
And what was your major?
I did my undergrad in biological sciences and my graduate degree was in civil and environmental engineering.
So correct me if I'm wrong, all of that has nothing to do with what you're doing now.
Pretty much nothing. Yep.
Well, it was money well spent.
Yeah.
You are very interested in the environment still, despite your career taking a different turn.
Yes, I think that there is definitely some applications with particularly what I studied in my master's degree and what I do now. A lot of the stuff with process automation, making our systems, the way we function, the way we communicate more efficient. A lot of that is pretty similar to some of the studies I did with city systems and project modeling.
Now, you only been with the city a few weeks, is that correct, or a few months?
No, I actually am just rounded a year.
Oh, okay. That's right, because you started during COVID. I'd forgotten about that.
Yes. Yeah.
So that must have been weird starting during COVID.
Yeah. Pretty weird.
Did it all work at home?
I've been working at home almost exclusively until July, I think was my first time really being in the office and seeing my coworkers.
And was that really weird or, culture shock or anything?
I think a lot of people have discussed this. The social muscle was definitely in need of flexing. I needed some warm-up activities for that. But in general, I prefer the face-to-face communication. It's been nice to collaborate with my coworkers and hang out a little bit more casually than just like by the book business. We're very productive oriented at IMP.
Yeah. So how are you still able to do a hybrid schedule these days? Or are they bringing you back in all 5 days?
I'm doing hybrid. So I'm in the office generally Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, if you're looking for me. And then otherwise I'm at an undisclosed remote location.
Where the hell is Alex? Do you see yourself continuing in this sort of computer-oriented technology kind of career, or going back to environmental sciences, or combining the two? Or
yeah, I'm interested to see where this is taking me. So far, so good. I still am very passionate about the environment and looking at our city systems. I've worked on a couple of projects within IMP that had that kind of application with city planning and city parks. So those are exciting projects because I do think the technical aspect of it really can make a big difference in the way that we're able to bring people together as a community. So I enjoy that. And I think that it remains to be seen. I don't know, I'm open to, becoming a spy or whatever else comes along my way.
A spy, huh?
Yeah, if I'm not doing this, I think the next one is espionage for sure.
Do you want to be undercover or? like pretend to be people and infiltrate other.
I really just want to play with the gadgets. I don't know that I actually want to do the work.
Fair enough. Would you recommend a career in government service?
Definitely.
And are there people, are you surprised that the city is full of, intelligent people who are actually trying hard to do good things instead of weird people smoking cigarettes with their feet up on the desk?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm actually pleasantly interested in pretty much everyone that I work with has an interesting background, and not many people planned on ending up in the public sector. So they all have, great experiences that they bring to the table.
So are we sort of the land of misfit toys?
Yeah, in a sense, I think.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
The misfit that found their fit, I think, is sort of the square peg round hole, but you fit into another hole somewhere else. I don't know.
Fair enough. Is there any particular spy gadget you're interested in? Like, do you want to drive a fast car or?
The grappling hook for sure.
Okay.
Scaling a building.
Are you a fan of movies involving spies?
Oh yeah, definitely. Almost all of them.
Which ones?
Born Identity, Born Ultimatum. I haven't really seen the Mission Impossibles. I don't know if it's going to make my list, but
more of a Damon person than a Tom Cruise person.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
I think that's a wise choice between the two.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. Good to know my instincts are at least in tune on that issue.
And how did you cope with COVID?
Hanging out with my cat, picked up a lot of hobbies.
What kind of hobbies?
I had taken up embroidery. I'm actually in the process of getting my yoga teacher certification.
Wow.
Yeah. Biking, a lot of hiking in Frick Park. Reading.
Well, you should probably keep your day job even if you teach yoga, because I don't think there's much money in that.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I would call it a hobby for sure.
Is that a lot of work getting your yoga certification? I would think it might be.
Yeah, it's a 200-hour certification, which involved 200 hours of instruction. And then I think it's been 8 months so far. My exam's in 2 weeks. So I think it's been like 30 to 35 hours of work outside of the instruction. So it's been a lift. I'm definitely a little nervous about the exam, but we'll see.
But are you always full of energy?
No, I don't think so. But I'm always excited to be around people, talk, and do something new.
Yeah, you're like ready. You're ready, willing, and able to converse. I mean, there's no hesitation, downtime. There's no dead spots. You're like.
It's because I've aligned my chi, so I'm present.
I had aligned my chi latte at Starbucks the other day.
There you go. I think that's how most people do it these days.
Right. All right. Well, I'll stop bothering you, but thank you so much for doing the program. Hopefully, sometime we'll be able to do it in person. But nice to see you in in the lovely confines of your personal home on Zoom.
Thanks, John. It was very fun. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Alexandra Lewis, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time on City Talk.